I have to say, it's one of the most pleasurable, well, that's not the right word. Hey everyone, you're in Arch's Garage, and I want to say a shout out to everybody out there that's been watching and commenting, and this series is part of the Craftsman LT2000, that nice black tractor. So in this episode, we're going to go through the deck, everything on a budget. So budget deck, clean up, rebuild. This deck I think is a 46 inch. Now there's a few different sizes, and in this series of decks, I have to say it's one of the most pleasurable, well, that's not the right word. It's a lot easier to pull these decks down and put them back up. They made a nice set of fitments for it that make life just that much easier. So don't be afraid to get in there and do it. We are going to do this on a budget. We're going to go over the bearings. We're going to clean the deck up. I'm going to show you how to drop the deck down. So I'm going to take my time with this video, guys, because I'm going to get in very close with the camera on dropping the deck so you can see where all the points are. And then we're going to clean the deck. We're going to pull the spindles apart. We're going to repack the bearings. There really is no good spot for us to put a grease fitting in. Although it can be done if you wanted to. If you bought new spindles, complete spindle kits, there probably is a way you could do that from underneath, right? But that's another episode. That's another story. We're going to just, this is very basic, but it does take a bit of time to go through a deck, any deck, so be prepared. The video is a little bit longer than usual. I think it's about 40 minutes long, so, you know, just understand that it takes a little time to go through this for me to show you, you know, popping the bearings off and everything and what I do to clean everything up. We could have taken the deck to the next level. That wasn't the part of this episode. I was selling the machine, and when you're selling a machine, you don't want to make the machine super mint. You're never going to get your money for that. But this deck was in pretty good shape, and this is something, fellas, that if your spindles are basically working and the deck is in good shape overall, and it's been, well, maybe many years before you've done anything to it, before it completely, you know, shits the bed on you, you might want to do what I'm going to do in this episode, just to kind of freshen things up, get your face in there and inspect everything. Let's get started. All right, I took the covers off, dropped the deck down, you know, lowered it. See, these kind of help hold that belt on. So be careful when you put it back on. Once you take it off, now what you're hearing is the brake shoes. And they're kind of stuck. And these bearings need to be greased. I don't know if there is a spot. I can tell you that the blades are, you know, definitely borked up. That's going to need to be cleaned and lubricated. This belt sounds, I mean, this pulley sounds like it's okay. All right, we got to drop the deck. So with the slack on the belt, we could just reach up underneath here. We're going to drop this belt off, right? I need both hands for that. And then we're going to work on, all you got to do is just pull this hook here. Pull that hook off, that clip, and then we get that cable out. We'll unhook the cable. All right, the cable goes up to there, way up in here, and I'll see if I can slide the other camera in there just so you can see where it goes. You take it out, and then these things just basically pull out. I'll put a little lubricant on that, make it slide a little easier, and I think the last thing is this clip here. Just reach up in there, pull that forward, okay? And then she'll come out. Do the same thing on the other side. Right, that's done. And over here, how it just peeks through. So you can just shove that in with your hand, right? And move it out of your way to get the belt off. I like that design. I didn't realize it was like that. I used the screwdriver, which you could do as well, but that's just a sweet system. And just make sure the bolt on the other end is tight so you don't lose it. Let me see if I can find a better view. Well, it's up underneath there, but that's the other side of it. It's just a bolt up here, and just make sure that's tight. Get a little spray lube, will spray that clip or pull that clip off. As you clip, and that's where it hooks in, okay? As I back out. You see where we are? Alright, and we can slide that pin back. Do that in a minute. Let's get the back one. Can we reach this? Yeah. Alright, we gotta get that guy. There we go. Now we should be able to pull it forward. There's usually like a little plastic thing there. Yeah, just like that. Right. And then tilt it up, push it down, get it the heck out your way. So we don't run over it. There we go. See? I'm going to do the other side. I'll do the other side and then I'm going to pull this thing out. So that's out. We'll just leave that out of our way for now. And then these here, I just tie these up with a bit of baling wire, right? Make it easier. Same thing on the other side. There's nothing else in our way. We're going to get ready to pull it in a minute. All right, I want to show you guys. Somebody been monkeying with this machine. See, somebody cut this extra brace here. See it? It's all sharp and nasty and jagged. I'm thinking somebody put a motor in it. And then somebody cut that up there. You see that slot cut out of it? I don't know why they would have done that, but there must have been a different motor in it. And somebody put this motor in. Make life a little bit easier for you. All right, we'll get a better look at it outside. We'll just get it. I think the hose and some super clean will do this. Let's take a look. It's not bad. This is in beautiful shape. As you can see, there's no rod or, there's really nothing, not even here. Although we got to find something for this. It's missing. I might have something. Just gonna give it a quick rinse before I put product on. We're gonna go with the old standby. All right, we'll super clean it up. Put some of this on first. Don't need much. And then we'll put a little foamy on. We don't really need a lot. And then just a little bit of foamy. We don't even need to paint this deck or nothing. It's just a quick cleaning. Yeah, that's perfect. We'll leave that alone for 5 or 10. Well, there's not much to do over here, is there? I'm just going to grab a quick scraper, and just for the sake of it, right, I'll scrape that out. We'll rinse it. I'll throw a little stupid clean on it, and we'll pop these blades off later when we get them back in, but they're pretty gack. Let it dry out in the sun. I'll get underneath there and clean it up. Just gonna get underneath here with a little bit of super clean. I don't know if you can see much of it, but it's really clean under here. It doesn't need much, but there's that one area in the back where the pulley was, right? And back in here. So I'm just gonna kind of, give it a rinse, a little super clean, come back, another little rinse. Maybe we'll jack it up in the rear too. Yeah, she looks pretty damn clean underneath here. I think we're probably good. Yeah. It's not much. I don't see any dirt. That's clean enough. Yeah. Just let it drip dry. All right, we're going to start off with removing the blades, and I'll show you. They're pretty nasty. Now, hear this one? Let me see if you can hear it. That one, the brake is away from it. This one, the brake is near it. See, that's the brake. But when I pull the brake off, no, I can't. Here, wait. Yeah, I can't really do it. We'll get over there. I don't want to knock this thing over, but the idea is we'll get in here and we'll re-lubricate the bearings. Now, there's probably not any good spot to put a grease fitting. One of the problems also you have is when you go to take these housings off, generally these are very soft bolts that go into this aluminum, steel bolts. They usually gall into the aluminum because you have the issue with the dissimilar metals creating sort of an electrolysis effect, which speeds up the oxidation between the threads, and it galls in and grabs it. So, good chance that if you were to try to take this out to service it, it'd be a problem, right? You'd break it. All it takes is one bolt, right? What do we have here? We got 4 bolts, so you got 4 opportunities to screw up. Overall, the condition looks very good. There's no wobbly, right? So that's something you want to check. Is it wobbly? This one's got a little bit of play, a tiny little bit. We'll know when we get in there. This one feels a little bit tighter. There should be a seal. Years ago, they used to use more of a felt seal. This might have an O-ring or something in it. But the felt worked pretty good. We bring these blades outside. They're in pretty good shape. We'll check them for balance and everything. They just need to be cleaned up. You want to at least, wire wheel them or grind them up a little bit with the flapper disc, get them cleaned off. We'll check them for balance. They don't look like they've hit anything. This one's a little bit more beat up along the edge, but it's time for it. This is like got a rounded over bullnose edge. It's all pitted. So we're going to take care of those in a little bit. Pretty hot today, so I'm going to be moving slow, and you might hear the fan. That's what I was hearing. That's in the bearing. Now that bearing may be no good, and this brake is off. Okay? Now one of these bearings, there's 2. Now I want to get my glove or a rag. Be careful, watch your hands. The rag won't do it. Yeah, that should work. Because there's sharp pieces on things. And for me as a diabetic now, right, I got to be real careful. That's why I take these extra measures. Okay, I'm looking good. See, these locks get stuck, and I'll show you a bit more about that later. Right now, we should be able to get this off. And this. We'll get out my mallet. It's a pretty common bearing. There's like a couple of sizes of bearings. I'm trying to get some lubricant in here. Let me get you in close, just for a quick peek, right? So you see what's here. I want to get you in. Just grab the camera, and so you can see what's going on here. So now, a lot of times, like this is a spacer, and sometimes there'll be spacers on things, but a lot of times the spindle comes up, the physical spindle comes up higher. The mount, the aluminum piece. Now this one might come out, but we'll see.
I am Cornholio.
Now these are all light press fit, light slip slash press fit, but the rust gets in the way. So first we're going to try just this is a nice rawhide mallet, something like a plastic mallet. might do it. And we could just try to drive it out. Now, we don't have a lot of room here, but we have some room because we're laying flat down. So if it starts to move, then we'll pick it up. Pick the whole deck up, give it more room for the spindle. Yep, see? That's good. Yep, no problem. All right, now, this will come right out, so... Okay. And then one bearing came out with it. We got our spacer. Let me get the other one. Well, that one came right out. Now, what we can do now, since we got, on this one we got just a spindle, which looks good. We'll clean that up on the wire wheel. I think I might move my wire wheel today, instead of having it over there where it's in the way and the dust is all over everything. I think it's a good diversion of my time. And then we can knock these out with a drift. That one feels like it's okay. So I'll get you in close in a minute. Yeah, I want to show you with the camera. Try to get you in tight. But that housing's damaged. It'll be okay if we don't touch it. Yeah, I think we'll be able to do something with these. We're going to pick them apart. Now, this top bearing feels like it's okay, but we'll know when we get this bottom bearing out. So, just a standard drift. I get these from, I steal them from everything. It's aluminum. Just going to catch the bearing. Try to see if we can catch the end of the bearing here. There we go. And drive down if we can catch it. There it goes. I'll move it to another spot. Let's see. Is it coming? Should be. Yep, I think so. Yep, that's it. I think it came. Let me take a peek. Yep, there it is. Now we'll give you a peek in here in a little bit. But it's really the top bearing that gets less of the wear. It's just a little noisy. Not really. Yeah, but I think if this is the bottom bearing, and look, see how gross it looks. See, that stuff just lays in it. Yeah. So I got the AC on, just trying to blow some cool air. It's not bad. All right, I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to clean it up, repack it, and this one sounds okay. It's got a little bit of gruff in it. All right, so I gave the shafts just a quick wash, right? So this is nice. I think I made in China. I think I picked these up at Harbor Freight years ago. And it's a bearing splitter, I guess. What it really is it's a kind of a fixture or vise to grab a bearing on a shaft in this manner. And you've got threads here. You can put your own threads, and you can actually make a puller. So it's a way of grabbing the bearing. So what we're going to take advantage of that. I have a few of these. I have a small one too. I don't know where it is. We're just going to lay it on the vise like that and just see if we can tap it off. I'm not using a lot of force, see? Just very little. It's just to grab the bearing. You probably could have grabbed the bearing in another way. They're not pressed on with a lot of force. Oh, this is our noisy one. Can you hear it? Wait. Hear it? Now, it might clean up. Let's see if it's got play in it. Got a little bit. It might clean up. We'll open it up. We'll take a peek. Usually the bottom ones are the ones that go. All right. So that's that. Let me go, and I want to go move my wire wheel over to the other bench that I made. And I'm just going to pass these on that wire wheel just to get them cleaned up. They don't need much, just a quick pass. Mostly here so that the blade fits nice. Lays down properly on this. This is another thing that people get wrong. This is start style, but no matter what the location style, when these get mashed up and the blade doesn't go on right, people will mash the blade down on it. And it seems like so many people today have some type of a banger tool, right? And so they're not really feeling that the blade is on right, and then they just go ahead and mash everything on, and then the blade's out of balance and vibration, and which also beats up bearings. So that's another thing. Worst case is we can replace this bearing. So I'm just going to grab my pick and just get underneath the seal. A lot of times you can just kind of get underneath the seal and lift up and it'll come up. Yeah, it's nasty in there. It's rust, most likely. Let's wash it out. But you can hear, like, this is a replacement one. This one's a little bit bigger than the other ones that I have. This is more common. So let's just see. I don't know if I have replacements for this size. I'll have to look. But it's dirt and rust. And if you come in here on a regular basis, and what we'll do is we'll take out the other one too, on the other side. And the dirt gets in and beats it up, and it just makes it noisy. But sometimes if it's not jammed up, I just did one recently where it was locked. That was no good. All right, here it is all cleaned out. It's pretty quiet. It mostly just had dirt in it. So let's pack it. And you can pack these kinds of bearings the same way you pack any other bearing. In the palm of your hand. But since we have it apart like this, we'll just basically blow grease into it. They don't put anywhere near this much grease in. And we're going to do it from both sides. So just a good bearing grease or, lubricating grease is all you really need. That should be enough on that side. Now we'll put some on this side. You don't want to put so much in that it'll blow out. What happens is they put very little grease in, and then the centrifugal force, grease first of all dries over time. Centrifugal force kind of pushes it out of the way of the contact regions, the part that's actually doing the work and supporting the load. Yeah, that should work. There you go. All right, let's wipe that up a little bit. And the seal just pushes on there. This is made in China, of course. They're not like the SKF, I think it is. That's the ones we used to use years ago. I'm pretty sure that's SKF, SKS. I don't remember. Well, when you allow another country to become the dominant factor, what gave us power in World War II was manufacturing. People having jobs and actually being able to take resources. The basic economics is you dig it out of the ground, you grow it, you make it, and you sell it. Okay, and that's commerce. That's where things come from. And when you do it mostly yourself, you become the powerhouse, and your people do well because you have actual assets and you have real something worth something, right? Whereas now it's all make believe and pretend on a fiat money system, and so that doesn't work. And you'll see that's why all these wars and everything else that's going on and the change of power in the world, they convinced us to allow this to happen. Yeah, that's good. That'll be fine. All right, that's one done. Now this is the bigger. Now this is another one I had. It's okay. It's just a little dirty. There's no real play in it. So that one's an emergency. Again, we got to find out what's going on with that. Yeah, let's go drive out the other bearings, and we'll come back. Well, this we could put on. Let me show you the shafts real quick. I'm going to lube them up before we install them. So just on the wire wheel on my bench machine, we'll lube these up. Just give them a good coat of grease on everything before we put them in. Just smear it on there and we'll drive them in. But they're in nice shape, so that's good. It's the dirt that's gonna, see it all? I'm gonna turn the light on. It's dirty grease, like it's beat. I think we're gonna want to drive that one out. And this one here, I think would be okay if we drive it out. Notice there's still most of this holding everything in there. So I don't know how they did that, but that broke. It's not doing anything. All right, let's drive these out. We'll get the dirt out and then we'll pack them and put them back. Clean them up. Pretty dirty. I actually just ran this in there. I gotta hold it though. I want to hold the body of the cutting deck. But we'll just run those in there and I'll wipe all that out, spray it out, clean it out, and then we'll reassemble in a minute. All right, this one went in a little bit loose. We could peen the inside, but it went in okay. It's like it's not coming back out. This one's a little bit tighter. If they're really loose, you have to take a little punch and go around and punch around it and tighten it up, but just be careful. You punch the reception part, right? The socket. Trying to use a common word. Now this one here, I can actually see it's been a little bit damaged around here. Something got caught around it. And it looks like it might even have a burr. And when you go with the wire wheel, I'm going to take a little file and dress that back. Don't lay into it. Yeah, it's a little bit there. It might actually help grab it. Let's find out. You don't want to wear it. You don't want to wear away the socket. It'll pull in the rest of the way when we tighten it. See how far it went in? The other one's not going in that far. We may have to drive it back out. There might be something in its way. I'm not hitting hard. It's just making a lot of noise. There you go. You can hear the difference. Yeah, something caused that burr. Something must have got in there. Ran over stuff. So you can see the damage, but it's okay at the very bottom. What we're going to do is I'm going to drop a little Loctite in this one. That's the good one. All right, this bearing I cleaned off with some gum out or brake cleaner. I use gum out. We're going to put a little bit of Loctite around here. Now they make a bearing Loctite that's better than this. I got to pick some up. Let's just get this all over. So we want everything clean. I already cleaned out in here, as you see. Just make sure that, you know, they're going to go in nice. Okay? Drop that in there. Same thing with this one. Drop that in there. Don't worry about lining them up or anything. They'll be fine. We'll get them in. Now this bearing will drop in. We'll just drive it in the same way. All right, that one basically went in there, no problem. All right, so it's in there. It can't go anywhere. That one does not fit as tight as I'd like. It can't go anywhere once it's all. It's just to keep it from spinning. See that this one is still a little loose. So what we're going to do, I'll show you now what I was talking about before. Let me get you in tight. All right, we just want to raise a burr. So I got my metal punch. I'm just going to go around in a couple of spots carefully. A couple different places. A few different elevations. Just to raise a burr. About in the middle to the top. Anything we can do to just get a little bit more, reduce the clearance in it. All right, let's try that. And then the Loctite will take over, but it can't go anywhere. We just don't want that bearing to spin. You know, on the house. Yeah, that's fine. See? Hear it? That's fine. That can go anywhere. All right, we'll take a little bit more Loctite. Just fill this void. And that's a repair. You check the other bearing. That's fine. Right, it'll work its way in there. There's already plenty in there. I'm going to do the other bearing. Let me feel it. Feels good. And then we'll put the shaft in. We'll be right back. I got my spindles nice and greased. You can see these bearings are recessed properly. This one looks like it could in there a little bit more. It might have knocked out from us banging, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. Yeah, see? Came out a little bit from us banging. It's fine. Now, they're all nice and greased. This way the next guy, or which might be me, or you, this way you could get these things out. We just kind of got to get it in there. Okay? Just like that. And give them a little tap. Oh, I actually knocked the bearing out on this side. That can happen. We may have to tighten up this side a little bit, which I can do with, tapping it and then driving the bearing back in. You don't want them too loose. You just want them nice. So, snug. Right? You don't want anything moving around. Okay, that's C. Did you hear it? All right, I'm going to go fix the other one. I'll drive this one in, same way. And then we got to put the pulleys back, and then we'll go do the blades. We'll put the blades on. Okay, they're both in. And just put a little grease around all of that. Same thing on this side. This way, when the blades go on, they're not going to rot into place. This is going to work. So we got the collar on here. Let's clean the pulleys up one more time. Just make sure they line up. Right, that they fit in this star pattern. But these are sort of crush washers types. So it might just spin. We'll hold the pulley like we did before. Make sure that one's a little bit low. But certainly if you hold the blade, you'll know that you got it tight. We should be able to do it like this, pull it up. Yeah, it pulled up. I have it on the lowest setting. Yeah, these are tight. Yeah, that's good. We're good. All right, let me clean up. I'm gonna go do the blades, and we'll be back. Let's listen. It's a little noisy in here, but I'll quiet it down because I got the AC on now. The air compressor came on. Oh, it's much better. It's okay if they make a little bit of noise. Let me see. Brand new bearings would be really quiet. All right, they're good. Okay, they were getting beat up. They're all bull-nosed over and dinged. Somebody's run over a lot of crap. This one took a little bit more meat over here to kind of balance up. It's still not really balanced the way I want it. See, now this is where you start to get into money, right? Because if you want to do it right, you're talking blades. Because somebody, this one bounced up, but this end was pretty bad. But this one bounced up a little more. This blade was even worse, but it did bounce up for the most part. Close. I like to use 4-inch or 4.5-inch angle grinder with the flapper disc on it, 80 grit, 40 grit. This is 60 grit. That's a nice mid-range because you can clean the blade. You want to get the blades clean, especially here in the mounting area. Remember we put the grease there, so I'm going to go blammo these on, and we'll put it down. And we got a couple more things to do to it. We're almost done. I'll show you what I want to do next. I want to get some lubricant up underneath these areas, so we'll get in close. I got oil in, I got some chain wax, and then where it rubs, like in here, all right, we'll finish up. I want to clean this off too. So I put a decent amount. Just try to wipe it. And then I got some of this. Be careful with this graphite dry lube, because whatever you get it on, it's going to be on. And try to get it all in here where this rubs. This thing moves, but the spring is so big I can't move it. So we're just going to hose it. Now with the oil and everything else and the chain wax, it'll dry, and it's dry lube, so it'll dry as well. This moves. All right, let me wipe this down. We'll put a little paint on it. If you want, put a little chain wax on that. That'll keep it from rotting. A little chain wax on any spot that you might want to protect. It looks good. Let me wipe this off. Try to get it cleaned up a little bit. Maybe I'll throw a little paint on it. And I got to figure out what I want to do with this side. I might want to make up a piece of something, a piece of steel, bend it up and weld it or something, and make like a thing that goes over here. Because this doesn't have a bag kit, so it's always going to be some kind of mulcher side discharge. So I got to figure that out. I might have something for it. I got to look. So last night I started working on this. This I found outside. I have a couple of older decks. One that's halfway decent. I think I can restore. Craftsman, a little small one. It's probably a 42. And then I got another one for parts and potential metal. And on top of that was laying this, which is a 46-inch, but it's not the right one for this newer style. So I started measuring and cutting with this, and then I went to, this is the Dremel with the diamond. It's like a diamond cutter, which works very well. And it's not, I gotta defoul it. It's got plastic all over it. But it's fitting on nice, and I drilled some holes. I'm probably gonna lance this off, at least some of it. And it's fitting nice. I also, you know, kind of making my cuts so that it fits. And it seems to do a pretty good job. Right, you kind of have to push down a little bit, which is fine. Put on a little pressure. I trimmed it here too because it was a little too long. So I think I'm at the point now where I think I've trimmed it enough, right? Because it should mount with a little bit of pressure. I want to leave a bit of this curve here because that adds strength. If it just flattened it out, it would be floppy. So I think we're good. I'm going to transfer drill. I just made some marks here on this to follow the outline and to see where, you know, a good piece of meat would be for drilling. And looks like I'm pretty good. Probably get another bolt there if I wanted to. Let me see how this fits. I got the belt in for the transmission or drive system. There's 2 belts on that, and so that's done. I got that belt, came in late last night, so we got to put it on. So as soon as I'm done with this, just put a little coat of paint on it or something, and then we'll push it out of here. We gotta work on, there's a couple of things we got to do on the tractor itself. So we'll be back in a bit. I added a bolt here, got the 2 here and 1 here. It ain't going nowhere, okay? And there's just a little bit of flexibility back here, but I made this, adding this one really tightened it up. I cut the offending piece off the top here just now, and just to make it look a little cleaner. I could have made it like a straight line or whatever, but this adds a bit of rigidity. You know what, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's nice and tight, it's tight, tweet, you know, tweet. All right, let me get this out of the way. We got to move the tractor around. We're done here. We don't need to do anything else. Simple reconditioning of the deck. Budget. Everything budget. There we go. Make our lives easier. Now we should just be able to slide it on over without muffling it. All right, looks good. You know, with everything tied up out of the way, that's going to make our life a lot easier. See, I can just slide it in and out. You're not fighting or hitting nothing. All right, let's bring it up. Be back in a minute. All right, fellas, hopefully that was is somewhat informative and inspiring, right? Really, it's more about just inspiring you guys to get out there and get something serviced on some of your equipment. Keep in mind, budget. Everything is going up in price. Availability is going to become an issue. You'll see, mark my words, right? So things are going to get more, well, they're going to get harder on us, right? So we want to sort of employ and deploy ourselves in a way and leverage our skills and upgrade our skills, invest in ourselves, and put that into our equipment and sort of hedge off some of this nonsense. If you can save a few dollars on something, that's you know, it's a couple extra dollars towards something else. Everything with me, and I often say this, is about buying time. Isn't that what everything is about? Whether it's your car or yourself, right? Things are going to get older. They're going to need some service. and really you're just buying time. You could make everything mint, and you'd spend all your time on that, and it's still going to age. And how would you even do that, right? That would be so expensive for you to go around and try to get everything mint. And if that's the case, then you're probably not watching any of these videos anyway, because you have a lot of money. I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to come back with some of the other episodes. I go over the other things on this tractor. We do the full cleanup, the general service, the diagnosis. We did the valves, we did the carburetor. Lunchtime, coffee truck, gotta go. All right, see you guys in a bit.